prices to the moon. The beers them waiting for the crash coming real soon. But the OG consultant watching, he's seen it all before. Over 40 years in the game, he knows the real score. Bull versus bear, a real estate fight. He doesn't tell you who's wrong and who is right. In the Miami Condo Investing Club with no guess. He cuts through the noise and all of the mess. The Peter Zaluski Show. Big respect, OG in the game. Listen and learn the man's name. And up down. Peter Zaluski Show.
Happy Wednesday, Miami. This is the Peter Zaluski Show, a weekly podcast where I do a deep dive into something I think is important and or I do a one-on-one conversation with somebody I think you need to know. It doesn't matter if you're born and raised here, you've been living here for a while, you're thinking about coming here. What are we talking about this week? We're talking about the World Cup. We're talking about all the hype. We're talking about nearly 450,000 attendees to the 7 matches Miami held. Coming into the World Cup, we had the political people telling us, we had the developers telling us, we had the sell side agents telling us this was going to be a fantastic opportunity to sell condos. You got a buyer's market in the condo market right now. A lot of sellers trying to get out. Prices are falling. Sales are not transacting and inventory is getting pulled off the market, but yet still it's a buyer's market. So the World Cup, 6 weeks, 7 matches, everybody coming to South Florida, including third place game between England and France. At the end of the day, the World Cup thus far has been a disappointment. We've actually seen active listings go down, and more importantly, we saw pending sales go down as well. Nothing going on in terms of activity, even though we were led to believe this was going to be a fantastic opportunity for the condo market. And I'm sure the hoteliers did pretty well. Although a friend of mine came and visited Miami the opening week of the World Cup, was able to rent a place or lease a hotel room, whatever you want to call it, Citizen M, located right there at, just on the south side of Mary Brickell Village, in the Brickell Avenue area of Greater Dallas, Miami. She was paying $120 a night. Granted, it's not a massive place, but still, it's a newer hotel, less than 5 years old, $120 a night. So the question is, was the World Cup really worth the hype? We're going to show you the numbers. We're going to tell you what's happened. We'll walk you through, and then you can make your own decision. Granted, real estate deals can take a while. Maybe somebody flew in here, they went to the match, they went shopping for condos. Maybe they're going to go under contract sometime soon, but thus far, big zero. Did not play out the way we were led to believe, and that raises the question if you're a seller who's dealing with a lot of rising expenses, dealing with special assessments, dealing with those maintenance fees, dealing with insurance, although it's come down. Busy hurricane season is going to jack that up all over again. So then the question becomes, what is your next avenue, your next opportunity to sell if you need to get out of the condo? Given the fact that beginning in August, Fannie Mae, they're going to be eliminating the limited review for condo mortgage applications, which means it's going to take longer, it's going to be more difficult to obtain a loan, and it's going to cost more because of the paperwork associated with that. So these are all the circumstances. These are all the dealings, the events going on that we're dealing with right now. We're going to go ahead and walk you all through it. I'm Peter Zaluski, condo consultant, expert witness, founder of the Miami Condo Investor Club. I go live at 4 o'clock weekdays. We're always talking condos. On Wednesday, we have the Peter Zaluski Show, where I do a deep dive into a subject matter and or I do an interview, a one-on-one with somebody I think you need to know. Mondays, I do Miami Condo Mondays with my partner, Jenny Huerta. She's a broker owner at CVR Realty. Check out her website, cvrrealty.com. Tuesdays, we talk stats. We got the Miami Condo Exchange, where we reveal what's happened in the last week related to the South Florida Condo Clip Index, both the overall market as well as the vintage market. On Thursdays, we're talking distressed condos in South Florida, and we wrap up the week on Friday with a bull versus bear program called Buy, Sell, Hold Miami. I do it with Daniel Hernandez over at Compass Real Estate in Coconut Grove, although he does a Coral Gables market as well. So we're going to get into the World Cup. We're going to kind of lay out the numbers. We'll let you decide kind of what happened. Because you're watching this live, you're going to see all the statistics. However, once the video is done, we'll go ahead, we'll do some quick edits for sound, for template and look, and then we'll make it available on demand In order to watch the video on demand, you got to be a member of the Miami Condo Investing Club. Miami Condo Investing Club is a ecosystem. It's a community we're building for those people who are interested in the condo market. Those people who don't want Chamber of Commerce talk, those people who don't necessarily believe all the sell-side hyperbole about trees growing to the moon. So that's the role we're filling. That's the niche we're in. And I should tell you, we are not authorized by the local real estate community. In fact, we piss off quite a few of them, but that's what makes a market, right? You need both sides to kind of make that market. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to share some screens. We're going to give you an idea, give you a glimpse of what's going on right now as we sit here on the 22nd of July, 2026. And we just moved past the biggest catalyst that was supposed to occur this summer buying season. Summer buying season goes from May through October. This is the busiest time in terms of transactions getting closed. Traditionally, Q2 and Q3 are the busiest. Third busiest time is going to be Q4. The worst time is Q1. How does that kind of play out? Well, a lot of people come to town effectively in the winter buying season. They come here for an event. They come here for vacation. They come here for a cruise. While they're here, they get the bug. They fall in love with it. They decide they're going to go ahead and they're going to buy. When is that winter buying season good? It tends to go from November through April. Many of the deals, many of the condos that are identified during the winter buying season, many of them end up closing in the summer buying season, which will go from May through October. So basically, you got dry and you got wet. You got winter or you got summer. That's kind of the way the market kind of plays out. And that's the way that we're evaluating the market. And what we're seeing from the evaluations is that we are at the lowest level rents in 5 years. Last time rents were this low was 2021. So we got rents coming down. Rents are a key part to the overall market because if you're an investor and you're buying a condo, you're going to turn around and rent it. Whatever the rental income is, that's basically going to allow you to pay the price you're going to pay for it. There's something called the 1% rule of real estate investing, which says 1 month of rent represents 1% of value. So $1,000 a month of rent means it's $100,000 value. $10,000 a month of rent means it's $1 million value. Well, what we're seeing is rents are coming down. 2022, first half, January through June, 2022. Rents were about $2,750 a month. You know what they just came at in 2026? $2,200. Last year they were $23. Year before that, $24. Rents are on their way down. Before the pandemic, rents typically, and those rents are on a median basis, rents typically were between $1,500 and $2,000. So who knows? Maybe we're going back to where we were. And some of you might say, well, that's impossible. How's it going to happen? Well, I will remind you, during the low interest rates of the pandemic era, that period from roughly 2000 till about 2004 or so, a lot of corporations, a lot of REITs, real estate investment trusts, put up a lot of rental units. And right now, these REITs, these corporate owners, they're making places available for rent. They want $500 or $1,000 security deposit and pay the first month rent, and that is it. Why? Because they have the pricing power. They can do whatever they need to do because they want occupancy. So if you're a one-off condo owner, you got one unit, you're trying to rent it out, you're up against these groups that are basically going to be able to undercut you. Think Walmart versus individual retailer in some small town. Walmart always wins, and that's kind of what the REITs, that's even as the REITs have. So as you start to see this downward pressure on rents, and I should mention to you, should remind you, South Florida population is contracting. It's getting smaller. U.S. Census Bureau data. We came out with a report a few months back. Census Bureau data of July of 2024 versus July 2025. Population went down in Tri-County area of Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach County. 67,000 people. I thought everybody was coming into town. I thought they were bidding up because we got Mark Zuckerberg from Facebook here. We got Alex Karp from Palantir here. Ken Griffin's here. Larry Page from Google. Hey, everybody's coming here. A lot of people leaving. And as people leave, that obviously, plus don't forget the immigration issue. What is that doing to the rental market as well? So a lot of moving parts, a lot of things to check out. And many sellers were hoping this was going to be their opportunity to get out because of the World Cup. And you know what happened? Zero. And again, stuff could play out later on, but the immediate reaction is thumbs down on the World Cup and the condo market in Miami. So all the sell side people who told you this was going to be great, all of the developers told you this is going to be great. Let's see how it plays out. But thus far, the numbers suggest this was a loss overall in terms of an opportunity because no deals came through. In fact, pending sales went down. Why would that be? Well, it probably has to do with the fact that people were too busy watching the exciting matches. rather than going out and looking for condos. And try showing a property while the World Cup's going on, because the agents, they're celebrating watching the matches. Doesn't matter if they were going out to Hard Rock Stadium, Miami Gardens, right on the border with Broward County, or maybe they were at the FIFA celebration centers, the fan centers that they had in Bayside. They had them all over South Florida. People weren't doing real estate. They were doing World Cup matches, and the numbers are bearing it out. We'll have to sort of see how we go forward, especially as we go into August and the elimination of the limited review for Fannie Mae financing for condos. I should mention, as you get in September, typically right after Labor Day, which is the first Monday of September, you start to see things here get ratcheted up. Although this year, I don't know how it's going to play out that way. Primary reason is we have an election coming up. That election in November is going to be, let's just say there's going to be a lot of animosity associated with it. And there's a lot of questions about what direction is Washington going to be going. So if you're a condo buyer, are you going to get in before you kind of know what direction the country could be going? Or are you going to sit on the sidelines? A lot of people sit on the sidelines leading up to a presidential election. You got to wonder if they're not going to do that as well leading up to these midterm elections that will basically decide which way Congress is going and what direction we're going to be going in. Because remember, we got the Iranian war, we got the Epstein files, we got all the other issues. We got the ICE disappearing people. We got all kinds of issues going on. So elections are going to be important. We'll have to see if anybody actually steps in before the results of the elections in November. But that being said, let's go ahead. We're going to share our screen. We'll give you guys an idea of where we are right now in South Florida, and then we'll tell you what happened with the World Cup. We're actually going to give you the final numbers of kind of how it played out. So let me share my screen now with you.